All right, so it's 2 different events in one. It's a fundraiser. So this church is called St. Matthew's. They're having an oyster roast, which is under the tent. And then they have the Taste of St. Matthew's, which is for people who don't eat oysters. So they're gonna raise money, but we are going to shuck an oyster, if they let us.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I just transitioned my career to be a full-time freelancer. And like most of you, I was scared as f***. It was dark days, cloudy, and the only thing that brought some light was inspiration that we could find virtually. And that's when I found Black Food Fridays on Instagram. And let me tell you, it was a spirit lifter.
What's up, big man? No, give me a hug, yeah, give it to me. Pleasure, I've heard of you, never met. How you doing? What's happening, family? KJ. Good to meet you. What's up, big man? KJ, pleasure to meet you, dog. All right. What's your Instagram? I will follow so I can take a look at your work, bro. Because I definitely seen you before. Boom, right here. Okay, got you. Follow back. All right, well, yeah, we are. We definitely gonna eat it.
KJ Kearney, the brains behind Black Food Fridays, is really good at the internet. He's got over 100,000 followers from all over the world on an account that's only existed for about 2 to 3 years. But you know that Instagram versus reality thing? Yeah, there's none of that with KJ. Who he claims to be online is exactly who he is in real life. He's a dot connector, he's dedicated to the community, and spending the day with him, it became clear to me that he has just as much influence in real life as he does on the internet.
Pleasure to meet you. I work for Charleston Promise neighborhood, and this is one of the neighborhoods that I organize in. Yeah, and that's what I write about food all around the nation, all around the world from Black people. It's called Black Food Fridays. Yes. Oh, you've heard of it? Yes. Well, you need to meet Jade. Jade is the host of the podcast. We need to get a picture with her now. Come on.
I had the distinct pleasure of tagging along with KJ from the oyster roast in Charleston to a dinner in Savannah, hosted by the illustrious Cheryl Day in the evening.
Lift every voice, y'all. That's what it's all about. I'm introducing all this beautiful culinary Black talent, and I just want everybody to know about them. Hey. Can I say, KJ came all this way to support us. He always does.
Are you about ready to hit the road? Come with me as I follow KJ to find out what inspires him, his views on how social media might or might not be enriching Black culture through mass transmission, and how food might just be the perfect conduit for change. Welcome to Season 2 of the Black Kitchen series, a mini-series that shines a light on the brilliant and Black innovators changing the face of food as we know it, the influencers of today, many of whom will be the change makers of tomorrow. I'm Chef Jade Verrett, aka Jade of All Jades, and I'll be your guide on this road trip across America as we go in search of the Black chefs, artists, farmers, historians, and food-loving community organizers whose stories deserve to be told. In the second stop of our trip across America, we headed east from the fertile farmland of Arkansas to the coastal wetlands of the Carolinas. The iconic Rainbow Row of Charleston beckons in the distance, whispering tales of secret gardens and hidden alleyways. But as you stepped onto the cobblestone streets, you can still see the fingerprints of the enslaved bricklayers in the stones. Every surface bears the imprint of the horrors that happened here. And as a result, Black food in Charleston carries the weight of history on its shoulders. It's vital that we remember the contributions of the enslaved Africans, the Gullah Geechee in particular, who have shaped the Low Countries and America's culinary landscape. Before our all-day hang, I first met with KJ Kearney of Black Food Fridays in his neighborhood of North Charleston. We linked at the Creative Realm co-working space right next door to Daddy's Little Girl Bakery, home of the meanest hand pies in all of Charleston, and that banana pudding cupcake. And we had this absolutely amazing, energizing conversation. KJ.
What's happening?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm great.
I'm here with KJ Kearney.
The one and only.
The one and only of North Charleston, South Carolina.
Absolutely.
HBCU, Bulldogs, woof woof. What did you say? Give me the whole rundown. Give me the whole rundown.
Bald-headed scallywag.
You are a bald-headed scallywag,
yeah.
but you're one of my favorite to follow, honestly.
I appreciate that.
I enjoy following you on Black Food Fridays. BFF, was that on purpose?
It was.
Okay. So talk to me about it. Where'd that come from, the inception of the name?
It was crazy. I was working in politics. I was an organizer in the political world, and I worked for this environmental policy nonprofit agency, and it was a lot. So I was looking for a new job, and I just took the first thing that came across my plate, which was basically a bouncer at an elementary school. So I
Okay, hold on, pause. What about a bouncer as in a club at an elementary school?
Yeah, so I didn't really bounce kids as much as I helped with behavior management.
So, okay, how did you get into that, actually? And then, I want to know how you got all the way from over there to a Black Food Friday on social media.
Yeah. I mean, the line is much shorter than it may appear from the outset. So, working in politics, decided that was too much. I saw this job. I went and interviewed. The principal was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because you're not going to make nearly as much money as you were over here." And I was just like, I need peace. So anyway, I quit my job in like February. I was supposed to start March 15th, 2020.
Oh, okay.
At the very beginning of what would become a 3-year pandemic, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so they call me and say, well, we're going to close school down. Might be a month, might be 2 months. We'll let you know. So then I was like, ooh, I'm making money. I don't actually have to work right now.
Right.
What can I do to be helpful? And so the idea came because February of 2020, I made a list on Google Maps.
Wait, what do you mean?
So like people keep asking me about restaurants all the time.
Right.
So I like to work smart, not hard. So February 1st, I made a list on Google Maps of like 20 Black-owned restaurants that I like in the Charleston area. Sent it out. And it went as viral as a Google map can go. It got shared like 8,000 times. Wow. I know a lot of people, but I don't know 8,000 people. Right. You know what I mean? And so that started the seed of like, oh, food is a way to get information out. And
what made you create this map? What made you, like, where did that come from?
Being lazy. Like really, like I answering 100 phone calls a week about where should I eat, where should I go.
Now, why did people come to you asking you where they need to eat?
I earn my weight fair and square.
Okay, fair.
Yes,
okay.
I eat. I go.
And that's okay. We like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I would go. I would be the person in my friend group. Oh, this restaurant opened up. I'm going to go see what's up. Okay. I'm going to go try it out.
Okay.
That's how I earned the reputation over time. But anyway, fast forward to April, right? So I'm sitting at home and I was writing a book about why I believe Beyonce is the greatest community organizer of all time.
Okay, KJ.
I know. KJ. We might need part 2, dog. We might need part 2.
I think we do.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be on intersectionality, the intersectionality of KJ Kearney.
Right.
Okay, now keep going.
So I was writing a book. There was a lot of research and I needed a break. And because I'm a nerd, a break means different mental work, not no mental work.
Absolutely.
So my homeboy, shout out to Rob Pinckney Brown, and Rob was like, you should probably do something around food. I wrote the proclamation for Red Rice Day. So we have Red Rice Day.
We're going to talk about Red Rice Day. Yeah. So you table that, hold that.
We'll pin that.
Okay.
But he was just like, you did that. You did the list. Maybe you should do something around food. I'm also a writer, so I know alliteration works. I know acronyms work. So I was like, I want to support Black people in food, but I want to make it actionable. And I was thinking about like who invented Taco Tuesday? Because that rolls off the tongue. And everybody, I've woken up on a Tuesday and been like, I should probably get tacos.
I should get tacos today. It's Tuesday.
So I was like, I just took that concept and applied it to Black food. Hence where Black Food Fridays came from.
Okay.
And then when you shorten it to the acronym, it's BFF, positive vibes. I'm like, oh, that works. And then I just started it, April 2020.
So when you started Black Food Fridays, you were like, your initial intention was to share Black restaurants for people to patronize, correct?
Correct.
Out of laziness.
Out of laziness.
Right.
Out of laziness.
Okay.
And also because we didn't know what COVID was going to be.
Exactly.
Right. And so I didn't know if we were going to be shut down a month, 2 months. And so, when anything bad happens to this country, Black and brown people get it the worst.
Absolutely.
If the nation catches a cold, we catch pneumonia. And so I was like, well, if I create this little online database, at least if there is a Black-owned restaurant open, and maybe they're only taking Cash App and they're only open on Tuesday and they're only doing this menu, well, now you have a place to get that information from.
Do you realize how quick of a trajectory that is from where you are now to just starting this page because you were like, I don't want to type with my thumbs any more than what I already am?
Well, you know what? It's not so much that I don't like typing. So, I quote this gentleman a lot. His name is Saul Alinsky, and he wrote this book called Rules for Radicals. And I think anybody who's a community organizer needs to read this book. But one of the things he said is the only way to change the world, I'm paraphrasing, the only way to change the world is to accept the world for what it is. What I realize is a lot of people don't want to read and they don't want to take the time to read a blog post, but they will look at an Instagram post.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, well, let's just meet the people where they are. I could write a blog post and get frustrated because I'm only getting 20 views per blog post. Or I can make an Instagram post and get 300 views or 3,000 views with 10% of the work. And the point is to get the information out. It's not an ego project. It's not like I want people to know that I know about these restaurants. It's like, I want you to support them. So if Instagram is the best way to get that information out, then that's what we're going to do.
So this is the best way that you found to kind of merge those worlds of community work and doing Black Food Fridays.
Absolutely.
And how have you been able to continue to marry that moving forward? Because you're very active within the community and you're very active with Black Food Friday.
That's a great question. And I will have to say that it took me leaving my job in the school system and finding this job. And I work for a nonprofit called Charleston Promise Neighborhood. I'm the community engagement program director. And my boss, Sherry, Black woman, she was like, I've seen what you did with Black Food Fridays. Do you think you can do that in the real world? And I was like, well, I did it once with this environmental stuff. I'm sure I can do it if I'm focused on Black people. Like, hell yeah, I could do that.
Right.
And I don't have to stop doing Black Food Fridays because that was becoming a problem with the school district job. Is I was becoming popular and I was being reminded by people both at the district level, with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do the kids know you?
100%.
Stop it. You have fifth graders coming up to you standing?
100%.
How did that feel to your spirit?
Great in the sense that I understand that kids have an attention span the size
of my pinky nail.
Come on now. And if you can get fifth grade kids to watch your video about Georgia Gilmore in the Club from Nowhere, you are on something. My principal loved it. My assistant principal loved it, but they were also like, you still work for Charleston County School District, right? Like, you got to be mindful of when you're doing things and how you're doing things and all that other stuff. And Sherry was offering me an opportunity to work in community, with community, and keep building my online community. So I was like,
and your online community is so essential to our community, right? Because you're showing Black businesses all across the nation for people to go and patronize, and the world. Yeah, and you're putting people on. So one of my favorite posts, if I may, is when you highlighted the Maasai tribe in Tanzania, where they were trying the burgers. Yes.
The burgers.
The burgers. I said, I'll never say burger differently ever again. And I thought that was so awesome because that's something that I never even thought about. I'm like, tribes elsewhere have not even tried. They have not tried a burger before. Being, of American mindset, that's not something I thought of. And I thought that was a great exposure that you brought to us as a people. Okay, have you heard of the Black Forager? So what you both do is outstanding. And I brought Alexis up because she had a post recently where she's gotten a lot of flack for the title Black Forager.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I wanted to ask you, have you gotten a lot of flack for Black Food Fridays, and how have you been able to turn that and use it as empowerment?
I did in the beginning, but it went away quickly for two reasons. Number one, we live in a patriarchal society. So the amount of online hate that I get compared to my Black women creators, it's night and day. You know, like the kind of comments they get about their weight or who they're married to, who they love, that don't really happen to me, you know? And I recognize that privilege, so I don't have to wade through as much negativity. And when I do, I'm have fun with it, right? I'm not about to let you ruin my day. You're just a person on the internet. So the best example is somebody came on one of my comments and asked, how would you feel if there was White Food Wednesday? And I said,
every Wednesday is White Food Wednesday.
Hey, I went further. I bought the domain name for whitefoodwednesday.com and I hit them up and I said, $100,000, it can be yours. And if you're not paying, that's how you troll shut up.
That's how you troll properly.
Come on
now.
That. we you know what I'm saying? We got to use our elevated mind here. Like, I'm not about to get on your level, dog. Get your bread up. Give me $100,000 and you can make White Food Wednesday and show all the potato salad with raisins you want, brother. You do what you want.
All the mac and cheese with blueberries. Have you seen that?
I have.
Oh my God. How ghastly and
Can
awful.
I say, I love, hear me out, okay? Let me finish the statement because I see your face already. I do love the audacity of caucasity that allows them to say, you know what? Bacon is good, but you know what'd be better? Nutella and raisins and shaved carrots. Like, they just be making up stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. And to be fair now, I'm not saying the food looks delicious. I do love the innovation. And I would like to see more Black people taking risk with our food because we're very stuck on like, this is what fried chicken is. And this is what sweet potato pie is. And this is what blank is. I would like to see a little bit more Afrofuturism or inventiveness in our food. That's not to say I want raisins in my sweet potato pie or anything crazy, but maybe that's good. I don't know.
And I think we are getting into a realm where we're exploring a little bit more, right? We're having more conversations, and that's been a great tool of social media. We're having more conversations as chefs and just people who are involved with food so that we're able to merge the diaspora.
Come on now.
The diasporic foods. You know I was going to do it my way. So we're able to merge those. But I agree with you. I think there are ways for us to innovate even more. But that includes us spreading out and learning each other a little bit more, which is what you're doing. Social media. Let's talk about social media a little bit, right? You have a great large presence and you've developed that very quickly. But I know that wasn't the initial goal.
Right.
But with social media, how have you been able to take that and use that as a tool as opposed to the cesspool that it can be?
Ooh, a tool versus cesspool.
Versus a cesspool.
More alliteration.
My alliteration. It wasn't even on purpose. It's just in the soul. That's all.
So, all right. I think I look at social media as a communication tool, right? And like any tool, a hammer could be used for good or bad. A saw, a pencil, a pen, a computer, anything could be used for good or evil. It just depends on your intent, what you're trying to do with it. While social media can be a cesspool, I understand that with the platform that I've been given, I can make my section of the internet whatever I want it to be.
Absolutely.
I try to be positive. I try to highlight people. If you have 20 followers, I don't care. If your food look good, I'm going to showcase you. But that's because I know what my North Star is, right?
Right.
My North Star is highlight, elevate, educate on Black food and Black food culture. So when I make content or I'm finding user-generated content to use, that's the lens I'm looking through. And if it does that, then I'm going to post it.
I love that. Okay, KJ, let's pivot a smidge. So you talk about your North Star because you are from North Charleston.
Hey,
oh, you like how I did that?
I like that.
Okay. So I want to get a little bit into Gullah Geechee culture, right? What is it that you also want to do with Black Food Fridays outside of just highlighting what's going on with other people's businesses? How do you use that to highlight the truth of Gullah Geechee culture?
All right. So I think the first thing I would like to do is bring context to your question, because I think it's another outstanding question.
Thank you.
For those of you who do not know, Gullah Geechee people are the direct descendants of the West Africans who were forcibly taken from their home and brought over here We were not brought over here to grow and pick cotton. Exactly. We were brought over here because we knew how to grow rice. And rice is why South Carolina at one point was the richest state in the 13 colonies.
That's why we were plucked. That was one of the main reasons we were plucked, besides nutmeg and clove and rice.
We knew how to manipulate watery land, whether it be marshland or whatever, and turn that into a profitable soil, i.e. through rice, right? The truth of the matter is, my mom grew up 5 minutes from where we are in a neighborhood called Windsor Place, which is a historically Black neighborhood. Well, it is now, right? She was not allowed, my grandma did not allow my aunts and uncles to talk with what we call as a Gullah Geechee accent, right? Because the stigma was, if you sound like that, then they're going to assume you're ignorant and you're not going to be able to get no job, right? My mom is in her early 60s, okay? I'm 39 years old. And just in the last, I would say, 8 years, to see television shows and our Visitors Bureau and our government recognize Gullah Geechee culture as something that needs to be showcased to the world, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Right? Because for my whole life and my mother's whole life, it wasn't. In fact, it wasn't just not elevated. It was suppressed.
Right. It was almost a shameful thing.
It was. For a lot of people, it was shameful. So now to see Padma Lakshmi and like all these other people coming to Charleston and wanting to learn about red rice and Gullah Geechee food and culture, on one hand, it's like beautiful because we are the foundation of Black America, period. Y'all can argue all you want to.
No, it's truth.
But that's right. So we do deserve our flowers. But on the other hand, when a whole bunch of eyes start coming, most people are coming because they see the potential in profit. And if anyone's going to profit off this culture that my mama was not allowed to fully participate in, we should be the ones making money off it first. I'm not saying that nobody else can make money off of it, but we should be first in line.
Absolutely.
That's the only issue I have with this renaissance of Gullah Geechee culture is we haven't found ways to economically anchor ourselves to like, this is our culture. You know what I want to see? I would love Gullah Geechee culture be codified the way that Bordeaux wine is codified, the way that Kentucky bourbon is codified or Tennessee whiskey is codified. You know, you can't call it champagne unless it's made with grapes from the Champagne region of France. The same thing with Gullah Geechee. I feel like we need laws on the books. That's step one into protecting this culture because right now it's a money grab.
I agree with you 100%. Red Rice Day. Let's talk to us about red rice and then Red Rice Day.
Right. Well, red rice, just in short, and I don't know if this is the best definition, but we're going to use it today, is the American cousin of jollof. And because my ancestors were an amalgamation of all these West African tribes that were forcibly brought here and they had to create a culture, red rice is one of the things that, well, what we call red rice is one of the things that stuck. So that's what red rice is. And what I did when I created this proclamation was one of my mentors told me that he likes Black Food Fridays because I operate under the level of influence. And I said, ooh, that sounds good, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I was like, please explain that to me.
He says, when he sees Black Food Fridays, he sees it as a political propaganda tool, a political radicalizing tool.
Absolutely.
Right? Because when you're trying to get people to spend money in a different way, that is a political act. Full stop. But the way I operate is I don't operate overtly political. If you watching, you can catch the vibe. Every so often I'll put a post up that's like very political, but most of the time it's like right under, you know, so if you're just looking for food porn, you might not even realize that you're being radicalized, that you're going to wake up one Friday and be like, oh, I should buy something from a Black person. That's political work.
Besides the fact that food is political, look at how it's been used as a tool and as a weapon.
Absolutely. And so, you know, I have had a lot of mentors over my years. And in high school, there was a gentleman who said, successful people are able to distinguish the obvious from the important. Right? So what's obvious is that everybody around here loves red rice. But that's not important. What's important is, again, going back to me wanting to codify my culture, is that I realize when people get days, then those days become important. Proclamations mean something to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So a while ago, South Carolina was going through this whole fight about the Confederate flag. Should it be on the state house? Should it not? So initially, I wanted to write a proclamation for South Carolina Flag Day because the South Carolina flag is recognized as one of the most commercialized and loved flags in the nation.
It's a happy flag. It's a palmetto and a moon.
Sable palm and a crescent moon on a blue background.
How pleasant.
So we put it on everything. So I was like, well, instead of focusing on the Confederate flag, let's focus on our own state flag. And I was kicking the idea to people like, I'm gonna write this proclamation, see if I can get it adopted by the state. And a friend of mine named Elliot was like, I think it's cool, but I think people are going to see what you're trying to do and it's not going to work. Cool. So then I realized, oh, wait a minute. Food is a thing that people don't seem to get mad about. And Charleston is a food city. So if I write a proclamation about food, maybe that will get passed. So I wrote all this stuff about how Charleston was like very invested in slavery and the enslavement of Black people and how we profited about it and how we had a slave tag system and all this crazy stuff. And then near the bottom, I'm like, but we also made red rice. And that's because of Gullah Geechee people and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it got approved by Charleston City Council with no argument. The same city council who voted 5-4 to apologize for their role in slavery. It didn't even, right? We're not asking for reparations. We wasn't asking for no money. Just say, hey, as a city council, we want to apologize for what the people who ran Charleston 100 and 200 years ago did. That didn't even go through unanimously. But my thing did. No, I'm not surprised. Okay. No, I'm not surprised at all. But mine did. And that was 2018. And that's really where the seed started of like, ooh, I can show you some shiny things, the obvious, and then sneak in the important stuff like this is what y'all did. And it's on record forever. So that's just an example of distinguishing the obvious from the important, right? It's obvious that social media is a tool. What's important is how do you use that? How do you get your voice or your narrative out there? That's the stuff I'm into. I like the less obvious stuff because that's where the sauce is made.
How do you feel about social media, though? You've created such a great presence over a quick period of time, actually. So how do you actually personally feel about social media?
I feel the same way about social media as I do the water company or the light company, right? I think the internet should be treated as a utility, and social media, therefore, is just a part of that utility. So it's not that I like it or don't like it. I don't hate it or don't hate it. I don't know if you know who Octavia Butler was. I'm a fan of her work, especially the Parable series, right? And you know how she talks about Earthseed and how God is neither good nor bad, but God is change. And you can either shape and mold change, or you could be shaped or molded by change. Replace God with the internet. And I feel the same way. You can either shape and mold the internet to what you want it to be, or you can be shaped and molded by the internet, and then you will turn into whatever the internet is telling you to turn into. So yeah, I don't look at it as social media as good or bad. I look at it as a thing, and you can utilize it for good or you can utilize it for evil.
You have these new responsibilities now in this space. As a dot connector is kind of what you are.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I do love that. I don't necessarily want to be the guy that knows everything, but I do want to be the guy that knows a guy. And I've always been that person. The internet has allowed me to do that at scale so quickly in the process. I've been able to become the guy for over hundreds of thousands of people. And I appreciate that. I don't take it lightly, but that's the part of social media that I like. I don't tell people I'm a social media influencer, not because I don't look fondly upon the profession, but I'm a community organizer who just happens to be really good at the internet. So as a community organizer, I'm not trying to be like, look at me, look how cool I am, what shoes I have, what restaurant I'm in. Because all that is fleeting.
Yeah, we have seen that 15 minutes goes very quickly.
Very.
But you're using it in such a great way, and you get to do cool stuff. Like, as much as you over here, you do important things, but you get to do cool stuff too.
I do. I can't complain about that, right?
Yeah.
The benefits are great, right? But
you're going to a dinner this evening, are you not? By Miss Cheryl Day.
Listen.
Tell us about that.
First of all, this is how I knew that Black Food Fridays was something. I went to Savannah and I just popped up at the bakery. Savannah, Georgia, excuse me. And her bakery is called Back in the Day Bakery. And I just popped up. Well, at this time, I didn't know Cheryl. I come into her bakery. She sees me as like, oh, snap, it's KJ. And I'm like, you know who I am? You know, like, and she's like, of course I know who you are. So anyway, me and Cheryl just became really good friends after that. And so she is leveraging the celebrity that she has and doing this series of dinners called Lift Every Voice, where she is having these joint dinners with Black people in the food space in Savannah who are talented, but they're not getting the TV time that Cheryl Day is getting because Cheryl is awesome and amazing.
All right, so we're going to wrap up soon, but I would like to know, what kind of pleasant surprises have you had being in this space as well?
I think the most pleasant surprise has been from educators. It's cool for Marcus Samuelson to know who I am, right? Like, that's dope. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Tony Tipton Martin, all these people who I've been looking up to and they know who I am. That is very cool. What has warmed my heart is comments from educators. Teachers that say like, oh, I show your videos to my students, right? Because you're able to reach my students in a way that I haven't been able to reach them. Or you're bringing up stuff that I didn't even know existed. And so we're able to have discussion or further our research because I just showed them a 60-second clip of Georgia Gilmore or George Washington Carver or whoever, insert, Black Panther free breakfast program. And then we can build lessons off of that. That has been by far the most heartwarming part of starting Black Food Fridays.
That's the beautiful innovation of the internet as we're talking about it, how it can be a tool. And speaking of which, so, we always have the term we're losing recipes and all of that. Culturally, what do you feel people are really getting from Black Food Fridays outside of just references or referrals to different spots? What are they really receiving culturally from Black Food Fridays? And what is it that you're intending to put out there as well? Right.
And I'm glad you added that last part because what I put out and what people receive may not always be the same thing. And truthfully, as a community organizer, I really want to survey my crowd and find out what they're really getting from it. But I will tell you things that people have told me, right? One of the things that people get is just a realization of how vast our culinary history is in this country, that Black people are not taught about Black people using food as a liberation tool. They're not taught about Black urban farmers or that they could be a farmer. They're not taught about Yakameen or, or Guyanese cook-up rice or bust-up shots from,
if you're not from Brooklyn or Queens, right, exactly. Then you don't know.
So even amongst Black people, there are parts of the Black culinary history and the actual cuisine that we're just not up on. So a lot of Black people are like, oh, snap. We eat something similar to these people in Africa, to these people in Barbados, to these people in Jamaica, or wherever they may be. I didn't know that. And they see that connection and it makes it feel that the diaspora is closer than it may actually be from a geography standpoint.
So what would you give to people? What advice would you give to people who want to jump into this informational space, but they want to put their own little flair on it? What would you tell them?
Do it. There needs to be other people. So when people hit me up and say, I want to do something, but I want to do it this way, go right ahead. Have at it. Not that you need my blessing, but if that's what you're looking for, Merry Christmas. You got it.
Absolutely, because we're an ecosystem. And at the end of the day, somebody might have a bit of information that somebody else doesn't have over here.
Right.
And collectively, we're feeding the culture when it comes down to it.
And more importantly, like, I'm dope, but I might not resonate with Black people in Washington State, right? For whatever reason, because I'm Southern or Gullah Geechee or whatever. I went to an HBC. There are many reasons why somebody might never find me. But if there is a person doing similar work in California, they could be the me of California, go ahead, bro.
Absolutely.
There's so much Black history in California. I haven't even scratched.
There's so much Black history. Period.
Fair.
Okay, we belong in every space, in every single one. What's happening next for BFF? What's happening next for Black Food Fridays? What you doing?
You know, Black Food Fridays is at this pivotal position where I have to decide like what this is going to be. For the last 2 years, I've been operating off of vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
Like I'm a one-man army. You know what I mean?
CDC. Everybody's been operating on vibes, okay? It's been nothing but energy.
Nothing but energy. So, but I'm at the point now where I have to make decisions on like, am I going to try to take this to the next level? And what does the next level look like? And how can I keep my eye on that North Star that we talked about earlier, be true to myself, but also scale. So I want to turn this into something. You know, I'm thinking of it more as a media company than just an Instagram or TikTok account. But through that, I want to be able to provide opportunities. So you know, I want a podcast. I want a network of podcasts. I want a bunch of Black people talking about food from whole different bunch of, and like, I want to be able to be the person that can connect that dot of the corporations have all this money and they know they need to get in front of these people. And I want to have the media tool, podcasts, you know, online shows, demonstrations, events. There's no Black food conference.
No, there's not.
And I want to start a Black
What's up
food
with it? We got
conference.
a mixtape going. We can start a conference. Like
We can drop the mixtape
I'm just
at
saying,
the conference.
We can make corn dogs covered in cornbread.
Ooh,
with a little mustard and ketchup.
and that's good for those who like corn dogs because corn dogs are gross.
okay.
To me.
Okay.
To me.
All right.
They're gross.
All right. Well, this is where we part ways. It's been lovely talking to you, KJ.
You can keep that hot dog flavored bread over there.
First
bro.
of all, you don't know nothing about my my hot link inside of my cornbread.
well,
yeah, you don't know
a
nothing
hot
about
link
that.
might be different.
You don't. That's innovative.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yes!
Innovation.
Yes, come on now. Absolutely.
I'm so happy to see the trajectory of how you've grown and how you've evolved in such a short amount of time.
Thank you.
And I would just want to see what else you do. And I love how you bring this community access aspect into food. I think that's so awesome. And we're so excited to see what Black Food Fridays does. Hello, beloved. Did you have a chance to check the mail yet? I sent you a postcard from Charleston and Savannah. It goes, "Dear friend, today I met the most charismatic man. He's not an influencer, but he's influential. And I'm finding myself really inspired by some of the things we touched on in our conversation. Having a North Star and being in touch with how and why you want to change the world is how you get to the point of controlling social media rather than having it control you. And to me, that's the real innovation here. It's not the technology itself. It's the intent and wisdom and clarity behind it. Another thing that's sticking with me are his attempts to codify Black culture, Gullah culture, and especially BFF. Black Food Friday should be as ubiquitous as Taco Tuesday. Red Rice Day should be nationally recognized. And so should Black culture in the culinary landscape too." Whew! I know that was more of a letter than a postcard, but that's it from me, my sweets. Time for me to catch a cab down to James Island to visit some cousins and find out about some special grains. I'll see you there. XOXO, Jade of all Jades. Thank you, KJ, for the obvious and important conversation. Everyone, go follow Black Food Fridays on Instagram and TikTok. Let's make Black Food Fridays a thing, y'all. A special thank you to the Creative Realm for hosting us and to St. Matthew's Baptist Church for welcoming us with open arms. And a big thank you to Cheryl Day, who has always used her platform to help up-and-coming Black chefs, including the work she's done with the Heinz Black Kitchen Initiative in partnership with her organization, Southern Restaurants for Racial Justice. Season 2 of the Black Kitchen series, Innovators, was created by Heinz and Wyden and Kennedy and produced by the Meta Creative Co. Follow us at HeinzBKI on Instagram. And while you're at it, please take a minute to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and let us know what you think. More reviews help more people find us. Subscribe to the Black Kitchen Series podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. I am the Jade of all Jades. Thanks for listening. See you in the next episode.